Welcome back to another episode of the Lender Podcast. My name is Bryce, and today we're talking about how do we raise capital for our hard money lending business. And this is such a good topic because I think a lot of people, myself included, people getting started, we always have problems raising capital for this business because it is very capital intensive. So today we're going to go over some of the different ways that I've been able to raise capital and what I have found to be the most effective, and also some other non-conventional ways of raising capital. But first, before we get into that, we want to talk about today's sponsor, which of course is Lender. Lender is a hard money origination and servicing tool. So if you're currently using Excel to manage your lending business, it's probably time to upgrade to a better solution. So we use Lender in our own business. It allows us to collect payments from borrowers, generate loan documents. Really, it's just a one-stop shop solution for everything in your lending business, including handling investors and capital and all that, which is what we're talking about today. So, if that interests you and you're ready to use a little bit better solution than Excel, I highly recommend that you check that out. You can do that by going to joinlender.com, and highly recommend it. Okay, so first and foremost, let's talk about the way that most people typically go about raising capital. And I don't think this is a bad thing by any stretch of the imagination. I think this is actually one of the better ways to go about it. Maybe I'll regret saying this, but I think at some point you do kind of cap out at that. So the first way to really raise capital is from friends and family. I mean, it seems like just about everyone, this is where you start. You're getting started. Typically, you've had some success in real estate previously. And so it's kind of low-hanging fruit. If you're posting on Facebook or social media pretty regularly, your friends and family, they know what you're up to. They can see that, you're flipping houses or whatever it is. And so hopefully you've built some sort of goodwill with all of these people around you, and they can see okay, he knows what he's doing. So when you start putting it out there, hey, I'm starting this lending company, I'm transitioning away from the flips or less of the buy and holds and doing this, people are going to be interested. People are going to want to come and join and see what you're doing. It's also a little scary, to be honest. You have to realize look, these are very close people to me, friends and family, and so I don't want to screw them over. I don't want to do them wrong by any means. Whereas if you're taking on investors that you don't have to see at a family gathering, it's a little different. Not that you would necessarily treat the funds differently, but you want to make sure that you keep that goodwill. So friends and family is a great way to raise capital. And I have this firm belief that all of the capital that you need for your lending business is in your first or second degree network. So meaning people that you know or people that you know who they know. There's so much capital out there, but people only give capital to other individuals that they like, know, and trust. And so a lot of it is networking. A lot of it is taking people out to lunch and just showing them that you're not a scumbag, that you're a real person, you're a real individual, and you know what you're doing. Show some confidence, show some competence, show that you know what you're doing, and the money will flow. And then also, I have found that social media has been huge for this. Anytime we're looking for some capital, just anyone in my personal page, as long as I post and say, hey, we're doing this, I usually almost always get 1-2 different leads from that. So that is obviously first and foremost the easiest way to go about building some capital. The next way that is a little bit different that I don't hear a lot of people talking about is reaching out to RIAs. So an RIA is, if you don't know, is a registered investment advisor. RIAs, typically what they'll do is they're a fiduciary. They take funds from other people and they'll invest it for them or give financial advice or, just a financial advisor. And oftentimes these people are looking for private equities or private investments to kind of just diversify. A lot of people are stuck in the market. Bond yields are not doing amazing, well, I should say they're doing great right now, but not forever, interest rates will go down. And so things will change there. So these RIAs are always looking for, different investment opportunities. And so again, it's kind of the same thing with friends and family. You got to have that relationship. You can't just reach out to an RIA and say, hey, are you interested in doing this? Let's cultivate it a little bit, because no one's going to give money to somebody that they don't have any idea who they are. right? So I've had a lot of success with RIAs. And the nice thing too is it's able to get around like the accredited investor regulations. Again, I could be wrong, but those rules are exempt for financial advisors, if I understand correctly. So if that's not correct, someone please correct me. But according to the SEC guidelines, I believe that is the case. So where do you find RIAs? I mean, Google obviously, but one of the best ways that I found is on LinkedIn. So there's a lot of different tools out there, but we automate our LinkedIn outreach to anybody who's got, RIA in their bio or title or headline or whatever, and just say, hey, like we're a private lending company. We're looking for more capital. Do you, is that something that you'd be interested in? So we've had some decent success with that. Moving on to number 3, I know a lot of people reach out to family offices, and this one I have not had as much success with. In fact, I haven't had any success with it. I think the reason is because it's where everybody starts, like everybody reaches out and thinks, oh, these family offices, they've got so much money. I haven't found these to be helpful at all. The biggest thing is, like I said, I think everybody reaches out to family offices looking for capital. And so I think they're just like overstimulated. They're like, ugh, another email of this random person that I don't know looking for capital. So you may have had success. I have not had success finding capital from family offices. So I can't offer too much advice there, but I would say that more than likely the tactics are the same. So you can automate your LinkedIn outreach, but just don't be a scumbag, like be a real person, be human, try and make a genuine connection with this person rather than just like looking at them as a check or a pocketbook. So just my 2 cents there. Okay. The next source of capital is like institutional capital, big banks, things like that. People get nervous with this. Well, let me back up. I see 2 sides of the coin. There are people who love institutional capital. There are people who hate institutional capital, mainly because they call the shots. And when you invest using institutional capital, they've got big funds, and so oftentimes they can try, and more often than not they'll try to negotiate a higher rate than you're typically comfortable giving out. They will put a lot of regulations and annoying stipulations on the loans that you do, so you lose a little bit of autonomy. And then once this happens, you kind of just become like a typical mortgage lender, which is like not what we want to do. Like the great thing about private lending and hard money is that like it's so flexible. You really have full control over your business and what you want to do. So I'm 50-50 on this. I'm not opposed to using institutional capital, but I wouldn't have it be 100% of your funds. It's a great thing to have capital sources from multiple different places, but I would be somewhat cautious with this, especially because everyone's predicting that there's going to be this upcoming recession and downturn and all these things. And what we saw a lot in 2008, 2009, that as soon as that happened, these big funds, these big sources of institutional capital, they dried up. They pulled their funds and they said, you know what, we're not going to do this anymore because this is too risky for us. And we don't have an appetite for it anymore. Whereas if you control the capital 100% from private friends and family, like they'll probably be looking to you for advice, or they might even invest more with you because they're like, yikes, the stock market is scary right now. This is doing really well. Can I give more to you? So just a small caveat. I'm not against it, but don't have it be 100% of your funds, because I have seen that those funds have dried up in the past. And if your lending company is 100% reliant on those funds, if or when they dry up, there goes your company. So probably not a great solution to be in. Okay. The next source of capital is small banks, credit unions. This is a tricky one because I personally have not had a lot of success with this. I've reached out to a lot of local banks in my area, and most people are not really interested in this just because they don't have an appetite for it. But more than that, they also don't understand it. They don't understand the collateral. They don't understand the asset class. They don't really get it. Like a lot of people are really weary of like fix and flip loans, and I don't get it. Like, I understand, like, look, you're lending this out to another operator. You don't have like full control, but typically we're lending on really good deals. Like the equity spread is just insane. Like there's a lot of deals that you just are too good to pass up. So I don't understand really, but I know that a lot of banks will not do this. I've talked with other lenders that do have lines of credit with some small local banks. Again, it all comes back to like having an existing relationship and showing that like you're not just like a dinky little company, like you're professional. This is what you do professionally. The other thing that I've seen happen is with these small banks, like they'll issue a line of credit, but what you have to do is on the back end, once the loan closes, you have to actually assign the collateral over to them through an assignment, document or contract or whatever. I would be okay with that. If we had a small line of credit, a couple $1,000,000 from a local credit union or a small bank, I would be all fine with that, especially with that assignment model. I think that's a good solution. Again, I don't want it to be 100% of the funds that we're lending out, but if you're looking for capital, I would say give it a try. And here's the other thing that I would say. I'm on this big kick lately that says volume negates luck. So a lot of people will call 2 or 3 banks and they'll get a no, and they will say, no, like that's it. I can't find any banks that will lend. I don't believe in that. I think you should try 50 or 100 or 200. And like all you're looking for is one. So if you've only made 2 or 3 phone calls, you really haven't done enough work. Like obviously start with the ones that you bank with personally that you already have an existing relationship with. But there's more to it than that. There are more people that may have an appetite for that. But you have to put in the work. You have to put in the volume, make the phone calls, reach out on LinkedIn, find the people that you need to talk to. Like when you call a local bank and you're like, hey, can I talk to someone in lending? Like that may not be the person who calls the shots. Like they may connect you with just a regular loan officer who doesn't really have any say in the matter anyway. So this is a decent option. I like this a lot, but it does require a bit more work. The last thing that I want to talk about, and this has been a big shift for us lately, is social media. And I know we kind of talked about friends and family, but become a professional in the sense that like you need to own social media. So to give you just a little bit of context, in the last 6 weeks, we have been going really hard on social media, posting 2 to 3 reels on Instagram, almost exclusively every single day, focusing heavily on Instagram, TikTok, and then a little bit on YouTube Shorts. But in the last 6 weeks, we have I've got a very small page, like 1,300 followers is what we started with. We're up to 1,800 followers now. It's because we've had a couple videos that have gone like decently viral-ish, and it's done well. Like we're typically gaining 40 to 50 followers per day, which is huge for us. And in the last 6 weeks, we've been able to raise $500,000 from investors. Like that's pretty good. So here's our strategy, and one that I recommend that you follow is post daily, post consistently daily, provide some value to your audience, have some humor sprinkled in there, and don't get too like niche. Like I wouldn't recommend talking about like investing. Well, investing in like private lending specifically. Like if you niche down so far, most people don't even know what private lending is. So like they're not going to resonate with it. So talk about money in general or investing in general and cast a wider net, and then you'll have a lot more leads. Now here's the key. You message every single person that follows you. Every single person. And our strategy is like, it's very simple. We say, hey, Matt, or whoever, thanks so much for the follow. Are you here for the content, or are you here to level up your finances or improve your investments or whatever it is? And we do that to every single follower, existing followers that we currently have, and every new follower that we get. And we do not miss. Every single follower gets a DM from us. And we start a conversation, a genuine, like legitimate conversation with the person on the other side. Like, this is a real individual, and like they have potential to invest with you. They may have 50 grand sitting on the side, or 100 grand, or they might not understand that they can roll some funds over into a self-directed IRA and then work with you. Like it's all about creating this genuine connection, and also a lot of education. Like a lot of people don't know what we do. This is kind of a weird space. So education is a huge piece of it. But I think it all comes back to just like being a professional. And I don't mean like not being like a shitty person. I mean, dive all in and like make this your job. Like social media has so much power with the people that you can reach. It's just incredible. So we plan on doing this for the foreseeable future because it has been so great in gathering leads. And like I said, in the last 6 weeks, we brought in $500,000 in investor capital. So that has really been our secret sauce. Like I said, we've done a little bit of like all the other topics that I've talked about in the past. Like we've reached out to banks, we've worked with the RIAs, friends and family, of course, and those are all great sources. But the social media has been a gold mine for us. So all that to say, if you're interested in raising more capital, I highly recommend using a combination of all of these different solutions. One more pro tip, and I don't know if this is something that you necessarily want to do, but something we're thinking about doing. I haven't done it yet, but we are thinking of running Facebook ads for a free wealth audit. This is a little bit dicey. This is a little bit iffy because we have run ads in the past for our lending company looking for investors. We tried a dozen different pieces of creative, all the different platforms. We didn't get any investors from it. And once you dive into the space, you'll start getting ads from like other lenders who are doing the same thing. I don't know how well they're doing, or they just have like these massive budgets that we can't compete with. We spent probably $5,000 on paid ads to find other investors, and we didn't find a single person. So I'm not a big fan of Facebook ads for this particular, avenue in getting investors. But we're gonna try this. I don't know, but like I said, we're going to run some Facebook ads for like a free wealth audit. Then it takes people to a form. They submit their information, talk about like their investments, their debt, their risk tolerance, their goals, their retirement, all these different things, and issue kind of like a guide or like a financial plan, if you will, on how to maybe improve their finances, just because we have a general interest in finance as well. Now, you have to be careful with this though, because you can kind of get in trouble if you advertise that you're like a financial advisor. You're not. You need to like clearly disclose, like, I am not a financial advisor. I just like finances, and like I'm here to help you out. And if for whatever reason like it aligns and this resonates well with you, we can help you with some private lending, because that's what we're doing. But the goal is to genuinely help people. So again, I don't know how that will turn out. That's something we're going to try. But I think the whole goal of this podcast episode is try all the things. Like, the answer is you have to be doing all of them. Don't just like hone in on one. So I hope that's helpful. These are the ways that we found different capital from different investors. And I'm sure we'll have a follow-up episode, in a couple months, and just kind of give an update on how we're doing and how things are going. But this is what's worked for us. So if you like this episode, please leave a review on your favorite platform. Also, I'm curious what ways you have found to best raise capital. And if you've got a unique idea or unique strategy that's worked for you, please reach out. I'd love to hear from you. So that's it for today's episode, and we'll see you next week. See ya.